Hey guys, this lesson is on point of view. So when we're talking about point of view, we're talking about the perspective from which the author writes a poem or a story. So we're looking at the perspective that the story is being told from, or whose view we're getting. So we're going to talk about three different types of three different categories of point of view. The first one we're going to talk about is first person. When a story is written in first person, the narrator is a character in the story. So the narrator is describing his or her own thoughts and feelings to the reader. Now, the key words for this are I, me, us, we, my, mine, ours, and we call those first person pronouns. Now, there are some drawbacks to using first person when we're writing a story. Sometimes the narrator might not be super reliable. We're only getting one side of the story when it's written in first person. But it does allow us to get really close to the narrator and really get to know them as a character because we will know all of their thoughts and feelings. But we're getting only their side of the story. Next, we're going to talk about second person. Second person is when the narrator is talking directly to the reader. Some keywords would be you, yourself, yours, your. And if you've read a choose your own adventure text, that would be written in second person. So that's an example of a second person text. Last, we're going to talk about third person. In third person, the narrator is not a part of the story. The narrator knows the character's thoughts and feelings and explains them to the reader. Keywords might be he, she, hers, his, they, theirs. So in third person, the narrator is talking about the story. They're telling us about everybody else. And there are three different types of third person point of view. The first we'll talk about is omniscient third person. When we are hearing the story in an omniscient third person point of view, that means that the narrator knows the thoughts and feelings of all of the characters in the story. So they can tell us what every character is thinking and what every character is feeling. The next type of third person point of view is limited third person. In limited third person, the narrator tells what happens to all the characters, but the narrator only knows one character's thoughts and feelings. So we will hear the whole story, but we will only know what one of the characters is thinking and feeling. The last type of third person point of view we'll talk about is objective third person. In objective third person, the narrator tells what happens, but doesn't know what any of the characters are thinking or feeling. So we will know what happens, but we won't be able to get inside the characters' minds. Now let's look at this example. Read over the passage and decide if you think this is written in first person, second person, or third person point of view. This passage was written in third person point of view. And some of our keywords might be her, she. We've got her again and she again. So we are being told Violet's story, but we're not being told by Violet. So if Violet were telling us her story herself, it would be first person, but she's not. Someone else is telling us. So it's third person. Now let's look at another example. Read over the passage and decide if you think it's written in first person, second person, or third person. This example is written in first person. And some of our keywords would have been I, and we see I several times in the passage, and we also see my. So we don't know the name of the person telling us their story. We don't know the narrator's name, but we do know that they're telling us their own story. So it's written in first person point of view. Now let's look at our last example. Read over the passage and decide if you think it's written in first, second, or third person. This passage was written in second person. Some of our keywords were you. And in this passage, the narrator is speaking directly to the reader and giving instructions for what you should do next. So that is written in second person point of view.